after that. And then afterwards, we'll do a full install of a Gnosis Validator node, so everyone will be able to see how to do it for themselves. So if we start by just taking a look at the chain itself. So as I say, I'm here on behalf of Gnosis. We are the third most decentralized chain after Bitcoin and Ethereum, with over 100,000 validator nodes. So heavily decentralized, robust network that we're looking for more people to come and join. We're currently running a Gnosis VIP program, which you may have heard about. You can get rewards of anything from $300 to $700 in certain geographic regions for running a Gnosis validator. So yeah, huge rewards just for having a validator up for anywhere between 3 and 6 months if you're in certain geographic areas around the world. So we're looking to not just be based on the big cloud providers in America, in Europe. Gnosis' ambition is to expand worldwide so they can prevent any censorship or any regulatory issues that might come from Pacific countries. Being spread out across the world is obviously going to help mitigate any of the risks attached to that kind of thing. So after that, let me just go through a high-level network architecture of both Gnosis Chain and the validator node itself, and what the validators are required for. And then we'll take a look at the hardware and network requirements that might be needed to run a validator node yourself. So after that, we'll do the full install of the node, and then I'll take any questions at the end. But happy to take any questions as we go. So feel free to come off mute and ask a question, or type one in the chat and I'll get straight to it. So if I start off talking a little bit broadly about Gnosis Chain, it's a layer 1, followed the Ethereum roadmap very closely, so mostly in sync with their developments. Of course, the major one of those is moving over to the proof of stake model, which is now used by Ethereum. Gnosis adopted proof of stake in December 2022. So we now have a consensus layer to the validation node, as all the nodes are staying in sync and offering consensus between them on the So yeah, let me just take a look at this screen. So the transactions are extremely cheap, looking at lower than 0.001 of a token. So that's going to be in the cents range per transaction. We currently already have over 100,000 validator nodes all over the world. So it's currently rated by the Nakamoto coefficient as the third most decentralized network after Bitcoin and Ethereum. And our mission is to make Gnosis Chain highly credibly neutral by having it as diversified geographically as possible. So we're looking for that geographic diversity for all different people around the world running these validator nodes, so that everybody as a community has the most robust network that we could possibly have. We're hoping to encourage that geographic diversity through the Gnosis VIP scheme. We're offering these bounties, as I say, from $300 to $700, anywhere from running just a validator for a month and getting the full reward for running the validator for 6 months. The VIP incentives are actually a lot higher than what's paid out by the general interest of running a validator node. So it's been heavily incentivized. So we do hope people take us up on that. And yeah, we'll be looking in key areas around the world where we currently do not have enough validators to hopefully incentivize people to run their own nodes in those regions to give us the geographic spread that we're looking for. So yeah, by validating on the Gnosis network, you'll be contributing to a ungoverned, neutral, geographically neutral spread chain that can hopefully be robust long time into the future. The Gnosis token itself is split into 32 milli-Gnosis, which is like the sub-coin, and the incentives in the VIP program and the fees paid to the validators will all be paid in the milli-Gnosis tokens. This is our first bounty program, our first program trying to improve geographic diversity. So we're looking for people to come and join us on our mission. So as I said, early December 2022, we moved over to the consensus layer to mirror the work that's being done on Ethereum. We're now proof of stake beacon as Ethereum is. So as the new blocks are created, your single Gnosis token staked on a validator node will be verifying those transactions, as well as providing the rewards for validating those. Why do we need these hundreds of thousands of validator nodes? Well, we wouldn't want a central point of failure. We wouldn't want just one country or one person validating all our transactions. So by having as many validators and having them spread out as much as possible, it's going to give us the most robust network that could be forged. We're looking to prevent centralization, either be that on a particular cloud compute provider or a particular geographic location. We want as many validators from as many locations to be able to participate as possible. And they will all be earning these bounties and rewards for validating as part of the community. So what would actually be needed to run a validator node? You would need some hardware, be that either a server in your home, even an unused laptop with a decent spec, a home server that's running other projects, or of course you could just provision one virtually from GCP, Google Cloud, AWS for Amazon Warehouse Services, or DigitalOcean also provides. Of course, there's also local providers. If you're in a region where these two large compute providers don't provide, you can always go with a local cloud provider. The node install is totally agnostic. You know, all it really wants is a Linux box. So whether that's provided with you physically at home or whether you do that through the cloud provider of your choice, once you have the box, the only other thing that you'll need is obviously network connectivity. As the transactions come in and out and be validated, you could be looking in the terabyte range of data moving through that network interface per month. So need some network capacity, some hardware, and then token-wise, you need one Gnosis. That's currently valued at $120. And you can stake that through the Gnosis ecosystem to the validator node, and then instantly you'll start earning those rewards and bounties. If we take a look at the kind of boxes that could run a Gnosis validator node, the bare minimum would be something like this. So 8 gig of memory, 2 CPUs, and 600 gig of storage. This is the kind of box you'd select if you just wanted to run a validator Gnosis node. So this is going to be able to run one node comfortably and keep validating for a long time into the future. But perhaps another option might be to provision a box of this kind of size, 4 CPUs, 16 gig of memory. That would allow you to place maybe up to 4 different validators on the box. You would see slightly lower running costs by running the multiple nodes on a single box rather than provisioning 4 of the smaller boxes. But this is a great option if you just want to provide one node. If you're thinking for 5, 10 validator nodes, go for a box of this size, increase the storage, and then we've got plenty of overhead to run the multiple validator nodes on there. But yeah, stick with this if you're just after a single node. So next, it looks like we're talking about Stereum. Stereum is a project to automatically deploy a Gnosis validator node. It deploys on a few different chains, but this is a program that's going to allow you to one-click install a Gnosis validator node. You're going to provision the Linux server, as we discussed before, and then Stereum is going to install and configure everything from networking rules, firewall rules. It's also going to give you some great monitoring and visualization on the node. So it's an all-in-one package to deliver a really great deployment of a Gnosis validator node. So that's what we'd like to take you through today, is a full Stereum install. So if you do choose to run a Gnosis Validator node, this is a great way to get involved. So next I'll be going through Stereum and how one would deploy a Gnosis Validator node with that. But could I take any questions before I carry on?
I think someone is asking, is this free?
Sorry, Ethan?
I think someone is asking, is this free? On the chat.
Yes, Stereum is free and open source. If you go to stereum.net, you can download it.
Thank you.
There we go. Yeah, Stereum is totally free. Say a project set up to instantly configure and set you up with an Ethereum node. It of course also applies to Gnosis, being that we're a layer 1. You can come and check out the Stereum project on their website here. It's got a simple launcher that you take onto your local machine, depending on what you are, whether you're on Windows or Mac or Linux. This is just a light client on our side. So all the work goes on on the Linux server. This is like an admin panel on your local. So you're able to log in here and check all the metrics of the node without actually having to even log into the Linux server itself. So we can download the Stereum package from here, install it on our local machine, and then if we just take a little bit of a look at what Stereum has to offer. So it has a server side to it. Let me get up an architecture diagram first. It has a server side to it running in here. So this would be your Linux server. You pass Stereum your SSH key, so it's able to log in automatically. It's going to write its configs down here. And then inside the Linux server, we have the 3 different components that make up a Gnosis Validator node. We've got the execution client, which is going to interact with the chain. We've got the consensus client, which is going to work on the consensus layer between the nodes, and the validator. Now, in our case, we're using Nevermind on the execution client, and then Lighthouse runs for both consensus client and validator client. So between having these 3 separate clients up, that makes up a validator Gnosis node. All the metrics and graph data will be funneled into Prometheus, which is a best-in-class monitoring program. This not only takes in all the details of your server, so it will tell you how much CPU is being used, how much storage is being used. It also takes in a very large amount of data about the Gnosis chain and how the validator is performing. So if you're interested in digging deep onto how the network's performing and how you're being a part of it, this all comes pre-packaged in Stereum, and everything that you're contributing to the network and how the network is currently functioning is going to be displayed in live data, and that's on your local client side. This data is going to come straight from the Stereum client on your desktop side. So no need to log into the Linux server, and you're getting full data on everything that's going on that side. So yeah, what the Stereum install is actually going to do is going to up these 3 separate clients, connect the data into Prometheus, And then after that, Grafana is the visualization tool. So all the data is flowing into Prometheus, and then all that data is then visualized in Grafana. And we'll take a look on that on a live node shortly, just after we have a look at actually installing Stereum. So they're constantly expanding their roadmap. We're getting very regular updates from the Stereum team. One of their latest features is now that they've put their alerts on a cloud function, so you can actually get the Stereum mobile app. The old way to do it was just to funnel your Prometheus alerts into a Telegram bot, but the Stereum guys have now got a native mobile app. So this connects directly into their cloud data. So you don't even need to connect from the app to your Linux box. It's going to do it all automatically from there. So if we just take a look on this side, this is the main point of interaction, the launcher on the desktop. You can control all your infrastructure on the Linux box from this launcher here on desktop. You flick back to their roadmap a little bit. So yeah, they offer a lot of different clients that you can install on a custom install to connect with different chains. Yeah, we can restart the node. They've got their mobile app. You can dig straight into the logs, and it has this one-click installation just to give a full Gnosis Validator node in one click. When you just log it into the Linux box, and then it's going to log in there and install a full Stereum node just on one click, which is a great option. So let me log in, guys, to the Stereum node. So this is a live Stereum node, guys. This one's been running for a few weeks. We can see here, just as I was describing, we've got the execution client, the consensus client, and the validator client. So if I have a look in here, this is Nevermind that I mentioned. So this is interacting directly with the chain. And we've got a direct link here to watch the live logs and what's going on with Nevermind, just on one click there on the client side. So when I typed in that IP address, username and password there, that's logged me into the Linux box that contains my Stereum node. And this is giving me like a local control plane on that Stereum node. So as I say, this is the Nevermind. And you can just hover over these to restart any element of your configuration and alter any settings in there too. These are both Lighthouse here, Consensus and Validator, both managed by Lighthouse. So let's take a look at those. Again, live direct logs, real time from the Linux box. So we can see that everything's up and healthy and working. Be that in the consensus layer or the validator here. Here you can see the actual blocks being validated, the blocks that you personally validated on your validator. So these are the three main elements that make up a Gnosis validator node. And as long as you have these three elements up, then you're validating. Okay, and this gives us an overview of our node. And then if we come into the control plane here, we can have a look a bit more detail what's going on. So here are the actual elements: Lighthouse consensus, Lighthouse validator, Nevermind execution. And then the Prometheus here is collecting data from these elements and from the server itself. And Grafana is being used to display the data for us afterwards. You can see here it's also giving us some key metrics here of disk space used, network utilization, CPU, RAM, so you can keep an eye on everything that it's using in here, and we can dig a bit deeper into that with Grafana, which we'll be doing afterwards. And once your node is live, once the validator node is live, it will take a little bit of time just to sync up with the rest of the network. Once it has all those blocks and it's in sync with the rest of the validator network, you're then able to deposit the one Gnosis token to stake it here on the validator. And then you're going to start earning the rewards, be those bounties or just the standard rewards for being a validator. So this is controlled with a private key that should be generated offline, but we can go over that as we go. So once everything, all the elements of the node are configured and up, everything's showing green in here, you're then able to deposit the one GNO token, and it's going to start validating. So let me log out of this one, and I'll start a fresh one. So it was simple as that, guys. What I did there was just enter an IP of a cloud provided server that I'm using for this demonstration. You then log in as whatever user. I just created root, as this is just for a demo, but you probably want to create a lower privilege user if you were creating this for real. But this is a totally clean Ubuntu box here that I've just connected Stereum to. As I say, you've got a lot of options for where you might want to point Stereum towards. Of course, there's AWS for Amazon Warehouse Services. These provide very cheap storage, very available globally, pretty much everywhere apart from Central Africa. AWS is available. GCP, they're a very similar price point, good value storage, and another very large provider. Also got DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is probably the easiest setup option. It's very much one click just to get a Linux box sped up. It comes with all the networking, firewall and whatnot done for you already, unlike AWS and GCP. So a little bit more beginner friendly, but it is slightly more expensive to pay for the storage monthly from them. It can be quite expensive. And then, of course, you have the option of just using an old laptop, using a cheap physical Linux server, because there's absolutely no problem in having this running in your home and just networked into your regular internet connection. So totally, I've provisioned a totally blank box from a cloud provider. When you do that, they will provide an IP to you. We can then just pass the SSH keys or the super user password into Stereum. And then we're going to go with this one-click install. There's some custom installation options in here we can explore, but the one-click install here, come into here, Gnosis, of course, staking. And it's already figured out the components that we're going to need to run this validator node. All that it would like really is instead of synchronizing from the Genesis block, the very first block that was ever created on the Gnosis chain, way back when in 2015, we want to validate from a nearer point in time. So you can easily get, perhaps Ethan will share some of these links in the chat, you can easily get a checkpoint server. And that's going to bring us up to synchronization just within a couple of hours instead of a few days. This is going to be syncing a lot faster for us. So it's already figured out the components that we need to run a Gnosis Validator node, and it's going to be using this checkpoint server we provided so that we can be up and validating within a few hours rather than a few days. So yeah, as you can see, just a few clicks and it's already hard at work. So we'll just carry on with some other bits while that gets itself going, and we can come back and check on it. Some other points of interest that people might want to see is it's important to generate your keys offline. So if you're going to be running a validator node, it's pretty important just to have an offline machine, a machine which never connects to the internet. The recommended key generator for Gnosis Chain is Wagyu Key Gen, which Ethan can share. This is going to give you a public key and a private key. Obviously, you want to keep the private very secret. You'll get these two JSON files from the key generator site. And once you have those secured on an offline machine, you can bring the public key onto your internet machine. And that's going to allow you to confirm your identity on your Gnosis Validator node. And it's also going to allow you to be able to deposit. So once you have your own key there, we're going to be able to come over and take our one GNO, whether we bought that on an exchange or elsewhere, come over to Gnosis deposits to deposit the one GNO to to the validator node. This so it's a single GNO. You could easily just bring that to MetaMask, connect your MetaMask wallet to the Gnosis deposit website here, and that's going to allow you to deposit the single GNO to the validator node. It's going to take, this is the offline key we'll be generating in Wagyu. Once it's deposited, it will take a couple of hours to sync, and then you'll be part of the network and validating Gnosis transactions directly afterwards. Just see if this, okay, I might have to come back to that. If I just come back to the not live node so I can demonstrate some data. All right, so if I connect to this one, so this is system metrics here. So yeah, all I've done is open up localhost on port 9001. That's the native port for Grafana. And within the Stereum, it comes with a number of pre-configured dashboards. If you want to just check how your node's performing and how it's doing resource-wise, has that fully monitored here. You can see all the basic information, a huge amount of detail on how the node's performing. But perhaps more interestingly, it also provides a huge amount of data on both Lighthouse and Nevermind. So you can visualize both how the network's performing as a whole and how you're performing as a part of it. So let's take a look at, yeah. So yeah, we can see how Lighthouse is performing on the network. And this is all visualized for free. There's absolutely no configuration to this. We have both the Prometheus and Grafana linked locally in the client. Normally, we would have to tunnel our browser into the Linux server itself to get these kind of visualizations from Prometheus, but Stereum provides us with these visualizations of the network and how it's performing directly on the client side here. So yeah, I just like to conclude by saying that, you know, Stereum is a great option if you do want to become a Gnosis validator. It's a way where you can have a validator node up and running within just a few hours, from provisioning the box to installing to depositing your single Gnosis token. You can be up and validating and part of our decentralized network just within the day using this product. So we strongly recommend using Stereum, and very, very much hope that you'll be a part of validating the Gnosis network. Ethan, do you have anything to add?
Maybe we can have some time for Q&A.
Please.
Also, we have a question: how many validators I can run on Stereum?
Yeah, it's an unlimited amount. You can only obviously do the quick one-click install on a single node, because it does use a number of different ports. So if you want multiple nodes coming from a single Stereum, you're going to have to, you can do the first one on the one-click install, and then after that, you have to do the custom install, so you can define which ports each of the components will be coming up on. Ethan, could I ask you about Michael's question? Where can I find out more information about the Gnosis VIP program?
Yeah, I can take that one. The Gnosis VIP program will be launched in a few weeks. So it's a VIP stands for Validator Incentive Program, where we're incentivizing people to run validator nodes from different countries. Yeah, that's the program that will be up in a few weeks. Which countries are included? Maybe Ethan, you can answer that.
Yeah, so around 80 countries will be included. Basically, the countries without the GNO node at this moment. So some of you, I explained to you in the call. So we'll announce the list when we launch the program. Thanks.
I can also take the Dimitri's question about withdrawals. That is still being determined. Once, you know, of course, the Shanghai upgrade on Ethereum happens, then the Gnosis one will happen as well. The details are still being determined. Just to add on a little bit to the question of how many validators can I run on Stereum. I mean, Stereum is a local client that helps you install everything you need on a server. So the more validators you run on one server, the more bandwidth you incur, because more validator keys are trying to attest and produce blocks and stuff. So the more validators you run on one single node, probably the bigger machine you need to provision. And Stereum can just install the same stack of software on any kind of machine you provision.
Yeah, and you do get some savings by running the multiple nodes, because obviously you'll only need one copy of Prometheus and Grafana monitoring. You can just go with the bare bones install for the rest of the installs and just keep the single monitoring solution for the box. I did just post in the chat a link to our Gnosis Builders guide to installing Stereum. So this is going to take you through every step in great detail, everything from creating your key to getting Stereum to which box you should provision. So yeah, please check that out.
Hi, Jian. I wonder, any slashing or other penalties on Validator?
Are you asking about slashing?
Yes.
Yeah, the slashing will be pretty much the same as how Ethereum slashing works, because we're running the same proof of stake consensus. Yeah, But so in order not to be slashed, you want to essentially, monitor your validators using what Pete just described. Pete, I think the mobile app doesn't really work yet, right? But so you still have to use desktop, kind of.
Yeah, I believe so. It's perfectly possible they have a guide on the Stereum website for plugging your Prometheus alerts into a Telegram bot. So that's the current workaround, but I don't know. They keep advertising this mobile app, don't they? So I assume it's coming very soon.
Yeah, you can download it, but the QR code just says coming soon on the Stereum right now.
Yeah,
Got it,
have
got
we
it.
missed any?
Thank you.
Have we missed anyone else in the chat, Ethan?
Looks like we answered most of the questions. Anyone has more questions?
I think one thing to note is that one very important point is to sync the node from a checkpoint. And Pete, did you show the checkpoint URL?
Yeah, let me provide the DApp node 1.2 tech. So this is DApp node's checkpoint.
And then there's another one called checkpoint.gnosis.io, I believe.
Let me send that too. So yeah, you really don't want to be running your validator node from Genesis block, because it's going to be an awful lot of network and overheads that you don't need. So yeah, make sure you checkpoint from these points rather from Genesis block.
I believe I believe the checkpoint works only for the Lighthouse consensus client, whereas the Nethermind execution client still has to sync from the beginning, right? So it takes a while the Nethermind client takes a while to sync up.
I think it was just still in the hours rather than days range, was it, Tech?
Yeah,
or
it was the hours, in the hours range. And then once you're fully synced, you can actually start validating. So upload your keys and then it'll start attesting the blocks.
Yeah. Anything else we can add, Tech?
Encourage everyone to download Stereum. This is the really easy way to spin up a validator node and validate. So go try it out. And also I encourage you to use local cloud providers. First of all, they're much cheaper, and second of all, it makes our network a little bit more decentralized and have more diversity in terms of validation from different places. So AWS, GCP, and DigitalOcean are not the cheapest cloud providers out there. So go to your local cloud provider and provision a server from there. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we don't know what direction AWS and GCP will go in the regulatory space. So who knows how long crypto will be welcome there also. So yeah, always good to go with a local provider or your own personal hardware in your home.
Yeah, so also this works with local hardware. You can just point it to local host. It will install everything. If you have a Linux machine at home, I guess.
Yeah, just take an old Windows box you don't want anymore, format it with a Linux OS, and point Stereum at it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, if there's no more questions, thank you everybody for attending, and thank you Pete for the introduction. We will have more workshop and hope to see you guys next time.
Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.